official.
Hello and welcome to Slash Dupe, the mysterious movie pitching podcast with a twist. I'm joined today by my Slash Dupe regulars and co-hosts Dan and Ryan. And traditionally on Slash Dupe, you hear two pitches before the break and one afterwards. One person at the table's the dupe, they improvise their idea at the end, yada yada, you get the deal. Normally we go around, we have a guest, but today you're in for a special treat. So today's episode, we thought that we are rubbing shoulders with consent to the May Day bank holiday. And that made us think at Slash Dupe, you know, here, I'm sure you do at home as well, we think about words, titles, we think about them differently now since we've been on the podcast. So we were thinking of the term May Day, and we wondered what it evoked in the three of us initially. So I just want to say, any plans for the May Day bank holiday? Ryan, Dan, how are you guys doing? Welcome. Before we tell everyone at home the format of today's episode, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, doing good. Enjoying bank holidays and May Day holidays and everything like that as they come and they go. It's an extra day to put your feet up and sit indoors.
I'm going to try and get out. I'm actually going to try and do something. For those of you who've been keeping up to date with Slash Dupe, my wife has finished her MA now. She doesn't listen to this, so congratulations, but you're never going to know.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, she's done very well. But we've been sat indoors with pandemic and working, so I think we're going to try and go out. We did these amazing things called the treasuretrails.co.uk, yeah, sponsorship there, and they take you for walks around local areas by looking at things and like solving a murder based on what you see. So we might do one of those. They're brilliant.
Yeah.
That was more information than you were hoping for, wasn't it, Sean?
No, it's nice. Normally when we have a guest, we have to give them the space. Now it's our turn. It's our time. It's Dan's time to talk, and I love it. Well, yeah, I mean, so we just figured we always let May Day pass, right? We always let the May Day bank holiday pass, and we think of the word May Day. It has a lot of different connotations, and we never actually dig into it. We don't ever actually dig into any of the holidays that we have, particularly in the UK. We have plenty of them. There are many religious holidays. There are many non-denominational holidays. And we started to think of the words for them, the titles, the names for them. We started to think, okay, well, some of these could be Slash Dupes. And I don't know about you, but like I started to think that everything could be a Slash Dupe after a little while. But particularly with May Day, we thought, okay, so for today's episode, let's each of us take 5 holidays from, I assume it's the UK, although I'm going to be surprised because I don't know what Ryan and Dan have. 5 holidays, and we would rapid fire. Each person will give their 5, and would rapid fire within 1 or 2 minutes come up with a, not maybe longer than a log line. If any of you have been listening, a log line is 1 or 2 sentences to describe the film. Maybe a synopsis. Brief synopsis, maybe a paragraph or 2.
A short 3 acts, maybe.
Yeah, just a couple of, like if you know anything by us, there's no such thing.
Just a short Shakespearean 5 acts, you know.
Yeah, a couple of actors, maybe the ending, maybe a sequel, you know, just a handful of details as we see them. We've never really done anything like this before, so who knows whether we'll all align and agree. Whether one person will find out, or we'll ever do it again. Whether this will be the last episode of Slash Dupe ever. So who knows how it's going to work? But I believe, because I have no ownership over any of these, I just like the first 5. I think in a moment I'll start, and then I don't mind who wants to pick it up after that. So yeah, just before we jump into that, I think it's worth discussing May Day itself. So when I think of May Day, I don't actually think of what, you know, you might, I suppose some people might be drawn immediately to the call, the radio call, May Day. But for some reason, I think of Led Zeppelin. We talked about this briefly before we jumped on as well. I don't know why, but I think I watched one of their sort of live and movie hybrid films. I can't remember what it was called. But Led Zeppelin they were huge proponents of folk, and they sort of had this weird sort of prog rock and folk blend, which I think is what made them so iconic and special. You'll also note, like, if you've listened to any of their albums, about 4 on every album is about Lord of the Rings. It's about Middle Earth. So like they were way ahead of their time. These were cool people that liked nerdy shit before nerdy shit became cool, right? So I have a real deep respect and love for that sort of thing. So for some reason, I think about the Maypole, I think about folk, but instead of going even towards films like The Wicker Man, or even more recently Midsommar, I go towards Led Zeppelin. And I don't know if maybe someone at home can tell me why. For some reason, when I think of May Day or the May Day bank holiday, I think of prog rock, British prog rock. And I honestly don't have anything further to add. But that's just, but something stirs that feeling in me, and I think that's what May Day brings to me. And we're not going to do a slash dupe on the title May Day, although we might at the end if all of the rest of our other 15 ideas are terrible. But those are just my initial thoughts on May Day. So I don't know if when you heard of it, when you heard the word May Day, you were sort of sparked off in your mind. I don't know where either of you went.
I mean, I went, yeah, as you said, I went to the calling, like Croydon represent, that's where it comes from Croydon Airport, which doesn't exist anymore, but it was coined for a phrase to sort of that linked, because a lot of French flights flew out of from Croydon to France, to Paris. So it was
it's
a phrase,
it's going to be
short
more
phrase.
miserable coming back, isn't it? That's all right going from Croydon to Paris, but when you go from like Paris
Old
back
gay
to Croydon,
Paris.
that's a terrible return flight. And we live in Croydon, so we can say that, right?
I mean, yeah, but you're talking like, way back when there wasn't as much knife crime, or maybe there was, but
It was still the ends, bruv. It's still the ends. It's still, you're not going to go from like Paris to Whitgift Centre. That's not a good transit. But yeah, I love Croydon.
I mean, like I would assume May Day would be like it would be an interesting sort of like a psychological horror of like a ship going down and them having to and slowly sinking, but there's still like a full crew in there. So this
is a man who's been reading about May Day whilst I was just doing my intro and didn't hear the bit where I said we're probably not going to do a slash dupe for the title May Day.
Yeah.
So he's just rocked up.
I made my own rules up,
pitch.
I
I
couldn't help it. Listen, I'm
Dan and I are on
conditioned.
the back foot now.
I'm conditioned.
You're duping even today, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm conditioned to when I sit in front of this mic, in front of you two, to just pitch. That's it. That's all I do.
Bell that we ring, bell that we ring, and he salivates at the idea. I am. When I hear May Day, I think Morris dancers.
Right.
So that would be where my film. It would probably be a Netflix documentary if we were going to do that. That's where I would think May Day into like they did Cheer, but like for May Day, Morris dancers.
I could stand to learn a little bit more about Morris dancing. Yeah.
Isn't it to do with like
only 3 parts, maybe 3-part documentary?
It's actually a combat. I think it was. I mean, someone can completely correct me on this, but I believe it's like going through combat movements. Morris dancing.
Oh,
it can't be. I don't want to. I don't want to shame anyone in Morris dances. So I've already I think I spoke to someone the other day and shamed them about using the ukulele. I don't want to add it to my list of things.
Is it like capoeira, where it's like it's disguised? It's disguised as a dance.
Disguised as a dance.
Yeah. We're just we're not planning an uprising. We're just doing a dance here, guys. Yeah.
Like peasant.
And if you like,
cool, don't worry about it.
Kick him in the shin. Kick him in
Kill the lords.
foot.
No, not that one. Don't be.
Oh man, if there isn't a Morris dancer or a Morris music type sting, slash dupe sting at the end of this section, I'll be most disappointed.
I mean, that probably won't happen, but I appreciate it all the same.
Maybe someone at home, someone can send us one in, or educate us on Morris dancing. That was Ryan's pitch for May Day. Dan's pitch for May Day. I didn't pitch mine, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. I didn't even know we were doing it, so that's all right.
Do you want me to try and give a summary? Give a Sean style summary of May Day.
No, I'm not. No, I don't want to leave it behind in the past. I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this.
Okay, well, you want to
no
pitch?
one's
You want to
adhering
pitch
to the
in?
rules. We're all over the place.
We've gone
today.
May Day crazy. We've gone May Day crazy.
No, I think what we need to do is we need to park that. We need to move on and circle back to it at the end. I want to give the two of you and myself really, because I haven't got any ideas for this. I want to go for the first of my 5 seasonal titles. So I'm going to go for a nice easy one. Okay, you ready? First one is Bank Holiday.
It's a comedy about bank theft. These thieves realise that everyone on a bank holiday goes on holiday, and no one's thought of this before. So that's the perfect day to rob a bank.
And the twist is that they rob the only way to take this whatever they need out of there is to rob the entire bank. So they have to literally take it from the foundations.
The whole bank.
The whole thing.
This also happens on their bank holiday, and they're not robbers usually. They're like a bunch of sort of middle-aged people having their day off. They're all overworked, and they're just trying to make their...
I love it.
So they have to deal with their own bank holidays, like going home and being with the in-laws or dealing with their kids.
They mow the
still
lawn because the weather's good. So like they're praying the weather's bad, so they don't have to go home and do the. Can I throw this in? So a long time ago, I worked at Tesco's, and I worked with probably the nicest people I've ever worked with in my life, and did like absolutely the hardest job, hardest I've ever worked in my life as well. There was not one person that was like alike to any other person there, and that was what made it amazing. So how about these people work in a massive sort of superstore type thing? You can pluck one person out of the butcher's counter, one person out of the who works in the warehouse, one person who's on produce. Like everybody has a different makeup and a different build, and they all have different lives, but they come so they're all working for the man, and they just get that one bank holiday off. Where they all have to rota it off as well, so it's like even more suspicious. So like maybe the poster is their work rota, and they're all off on the bank holiday, so they're the suspects, and the suspect list is maybe next to it. So it's like a twist on the usual suspects, but with a sort of Tesco work rota and a sort of police lineup.
Brilliant.
That was all right, wasn't it? All right. Listen, I'm genuinely sold on that. That's a great idea. Completely and utterly disappointed that we've got to do 14 more and not make that instead. Okay, the next one, simple as you like, 2 out of 5, Pancake.
It is... Sorry, Ryan, I'm on it today.
Yeah, go for it.
I've had no sleep. This is what happens.
100%
Pancake is also what they used to call old makeup. They used to put pancake on your face. So it's a documentary looking into sort of the old style of maybe commedia dell'arte or something like that, and the development of that. But a look at maybe one of the famous clowns of the time, and the sadness of their life or the happiness of their life and how it interacts with. And obviously the poster is half a face of makeup and half not a face.
And the half that's painted is smiling, and then the half isn't.
It's sad, yes, of course.
Yeah. Or you'd have another poster next to it that twisted that around, wouldn't you? So the clown is painted crying, and the person is
or
smiling.
A holographic poster that changes depending on where you're looking.
Like, I mean, we may have already talked about this in Slash Dupe, but Ryan and I have always remember the Matrix Reloaded posters on the tube where they went from one to the other. He was putting on his glasses and went into the Matrix. Like, if I could get hold of one of those, my life would be complete. And if I saw it on eBay a long time ago, didn't have the money, obviously, because it's ludicrous. But yeah, one of those, and you see the posters, I can see it now on the tube. And it's like, and I'm feeling lots of...
Those posters sort of died a death, haven't they? You don't really see them that much nowadays, do you?
No.
Yeah.
Sort of like... They're online.
Yeah, it's true. Right, on that sad note, I'm also going to go for number 3. That's very good, thank you, Dan. I also sort of like, I'm feeling the... the sort of tactile nature of lots of archive footage, as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so my 3 out of 5. I have an idea. I have one word to describe what I sort of would like you guys to come up with when I tell you this. So the title is Platinum Jubilee. I think stripper. Now that's just me when I hear Platinum Jubilee. I know people obviously think about the Queen.
It says a lot about you, Sean, doesn't it?
But that sounds like...
No, here you go. You mix both ideas, right? It is a stripper who dresses like the Queen. So they're like, and it's for like so like me and Sean always like crack a joke like, God bless you, mom, God bless you, mom, God save the queen, and like like, those like very incredibly English
that goes
people.
and visits certain dignitaries or certain people. In
No, I don't think it's dignitaries. It's for like people. It's for like the patriotic people, and she's like a joke stripper. Like the queen turns up, but then she whips the kit off, and she's like not at like whatever. So she's just wearing like a big dress.
So I thought it'd be interesting to examine. And I'm happy to go with your idea, Ryan, of course. But I thought it'd be interesting to examine sort of the nature of being a royalist in this society, the echoes of why the royal family was important, how it is now, by using the different pockets of society, including, like, let's say, we're children of immigrants whose children, so our grandparents, are incredibly sort of patriotic and incredibly sort of pro monarchy, right? Because that's the nature of certain immigrants. So also then you have government and military and other sorts of things. So then you have this stripper meet all of these different people. They pay for the covert service, and she goes to see them as the queen, and they play out a sort of royalist fantasy. It doesn't matter about the age or anything. It's just the action and the dress and the pomp and circumstance of it. And you get to see Britain's changing ideas about the monarchy through this one stripper. But that's because I like to make everything.
And then she meets the actual queen at the end, and they have a strip off. Yeah, and it turns out the queen's an actual amazing pole dancer. She spends all that time waving. She's got excellent forearm strength through the flagpole.
All right, I can't take that away from you. That's a great idea. All right, well, how about this? Number 4 then, and I'm going to tell you one word as well when I think of this. I'm going to go with epiphany, and my one word is stripper. So I don't know what it is about these holidays.
What is going on?
Sean's super horny at the minute.
They're cracking names for strippers. That's all. If you're gonna be a stripper, I don't know. I mean, it's perfectly legal. If you're gonna be a stripper, call yourself Platinum Jubilee or call yourself Epiphany. They're amazing names.
And then Sean will probably hire you. It's like, but Epiphany, like the idea of having an epiphany, seems to me like a new Sherlock, like this person that has, and maybe it's a woman who has for all the times been put down like women's intuition, whatever, blah 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 blah, but she actually genuinely does have these epiphanies. But it's because she's as intelligent as a Sherlock, but because she has to live with a woman in a man's. We can put it back in the 70s or 80s, right? Where she has to pretend it's women's intuition. I've had an epiphany, but actually she's just vastly more intelligent than
so
all the
she
men
plays the
on
game in this incredible way that allows her to get what she wants in life without having to sort of appear a particular way. She just is a particular way. I always find that fascinating, isn't it? The difference between, like, I watched Mad Max Fury Road again the other day. Absolutely tremendous film. I've forgotten how absolutely tremendous Mad Max Fury Road is. And the character, like Charlize Theron's character in Furiosa, just incredibly, like the perfect example of a strong female character. I hate even using the phrase strong female character, that it even has to be isolated from anything, but there's everything, there's all shades in Charlize Theron, right? Her character in that movie, absolutely every shade that a man would traditionally get in an action movie, and more so. And Max plays second fiddle to her, and actually saves her, which is an interesting sort of twist. But anyway, this is not Fury Road. But by that extension, I'm interested in, for example, appearing like a feminist and acting like a feminist, appearing and acting like a feminist, or not appearing and not acting like a feminist. I think like you can always act like something and you can be like something, and I'm fascinated by the differences of anything, not just feminism, of course, anything. And so I think it would be interesting to see a character that like doesn't have to act super intelligent like Sherlock and be a sort of knob. Like Sherlock's a knob, right? No one wants to be Sherlock either, which is quite interesting. You sort of want to be Watson, right? So yeah, I'm quite interested in that as a notion. So yeah, okay, that's way more. I don't know what Ryan's doing, some sort of hand gesture
to make it so you've got like the one side where you want a really like serious monster of the week crime drama about a woman, right? But instead on the other side you've got Epiphany, who is it's just women's intuition, but secretly She's getting an angel to tell her everything, innit? She's got an angel there, so you mix the two, right? So you got the epiphany to do with all of the religious stuff, and then an epiphany of an idea, and it's actually just like, because the angel can go through walls and be like, oh look, the killer's got a secret murder room, and then she's like, oh, I wonder if I've just had a thought, and then there you go.
Yeah, but does that
It's
not
wacky.
derail the entire point of the thing? Then it's
no,
not.
of course.
Then she's
But
not
it's
having
like-
her own
but
agency, right? She's
But the
taking
point,
it from
of course, that's the two ideas, isn't it? So you take that in, and then
I see. Yes,
and then
okay,
I'd be
fair
the,
enough. Yeah.
I'd be the
ABC
producer
or whatever
going like,
would go, right, we really want one of these sorts of shows.
oh, it's real good, but could you do it with an angel? And then that would be the. That's
Shout
not
out
funny
to
enough.
your character from Blood and Song, a one shot. The show must go on. Mondays at 8 p.m. on Twitch. So I think what you do is you do like a. Oh, I was about to give it away. Then I actually don't want to. I was about to say it. Anyone who's seen Battlestar will know what I'm talking about. But you just have the person go right up to the end of the season and then disappear. She was an angel all along. That's the that's how you have your cake and eat it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Right, are you ready for my fifth and final?
It's what, just before you do that, I think that's genuinely what's going to happen when Darren Brown dies. He's going to be like, JK, I was a wizard the whole time.
JK,
and then just like, and then just disappear, and then we'll never see him again.
Right, I have one final one that I sort of, when I hear it or when I see it, I can only think of one thing, and it's
I wonder what
really
that is going to be.
obscure. It does. Now you say that, it does sound like a stripper's name, but it's Ash Wednesday.
All right, it's about a stripper. No.
For some reason, when I hear Ash Wednesday, I think some sort of punk comic book. Some sort of punk comic book, female punk
so it's
comic
funny
book character.
it's funny you mentioned comic book, because I thought it would be like, we have Bloody Sunday. So what if it's like that is like a superhero event, like where like a superhero goes nova. Like I think that happens in Civil War, right? That's the whole, in the comic book of Civil War, that's the whole predication to it being like it is. But for them like creating the superhero accords or whatever it's called. But that sort of thing, like a superhero goes supernova, kills a bunch of, like turns a whole bunch of people to ash, and then it's sort of known as Ash Wednesday. Although now I'm saying that it's just Civil War, so I
like
surrender
that,
the rest of my time.
No, because in comic books, they nick that, don't they? They love it to be like her name's Wednesday and it happened on a Wednesday. Like they just love to pile things on. So you would have her be called Wednesday, and Ash Wednesday, is the date that this superhero went nova and killed like an entire sort of. But they don't handle that in the movies or anything. They really, in Logan, they touch upon it. But
it happens, and one kid survives, and she gets named Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice. Okay, let's take it further. It's an Origins thing, and she's the only survivor from Pompeii.
Ooh.
Nice.
And then it's like a survival film of like what happens immediately after Pompeii. Is that what you're saying? Like,
So we whiz sort of 100 years in the future, and she's like a superhero. But it's her origin story. Yeah, so it could be like a survival story, how she survives out of Pompeii. But it's because
that's like the
she
first
survived
act
Pompeii
or
because
the
she's
first.
a superhero.
Yeah. That's cool.
She doesn't know that.
So that eruption as well was some kind of cosmic force, right?
It ends up being the big baddie, right? Is the person that like erupted
Vesuvius.
out of the volcano.
Yeah. And he's like,
of course, it's called Vesuvius. Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's
Vesuvius
like,
wasn't
it's
the name of
gone
the
on
mountain.
in time.
It was the name of the man.
No, they're looking at the walls and they're like, but Vesuvius is supposed to be the mountain. Why does this figure look like a man? Twinkle, 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 or fade out, and like, that's a great idea. I love it. So like, the first third is like this mother trying to escape Pompeii with her child, and it's like, all that sort of stuff, the sort of Wonder Woman-y type intro. And then we skip forward, and it's and they have their climactic battle at the end. Where would it be? You can't have it at the. You want to be like obvious. This is the thing about superhero movies. You have to be really obvious and really not obvious at the same time. It's like So
listen, and for those of you at home listening, I'm making a mountain out of my hands. What is the opposite of a mountain? I know what you're thinking.
Valley.
Marianas Trench.
Oh, that is good.
Nice.
So
all right.
Vesuvius's heat and power manages to dry the ocean down to the Mariana Trench, and there's a wall of ocean, and all of the detritus and nasty shit that they, including like.
I will cause a volcano to erupt in the smallest point of the Earth, splitting it in half.
Actually,
Ultimate power.
He totally would do that because there are so many like volcanoes under the ocean, right, and stuff like that, and that's perfect. Oh, I love it. I love this idea.
Splitting the Earth and bringing the core to the surface.
Why does he sound like Krang or whatever from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Brilliant.
He'd have to have like
Rocksteady, Bebop, where are you?
Vesuvius, like the.
No, I quite like. I like the Krang idea.
I think it would. I would like Vesuvius to almost. I'd like Vesuvius to. He'd definitely be played by a character that has a lisp because he'd just be like spitting
that's good.
magma out of his mouth
yeah.
the entire time.
Oh,
Sort of like when people anthropomorphize spiders and they sort of like have a when they talk, don't they? Yeah.
Or snakes.
Yeah, but he'd be like spitting magma the entire time he talked. That'd be quite cool.
It's good.
Love it.
So, oh my god! So, what I have to pick my favourite and summarise it of the five.
Should we all pick a favourite and summarise it, or?
Well, I mean, all the people
That
at
still
home are
gives three,
groaning
innit?
and hoping that you don't have to hear three
This is
of
going
us
to be
waffle.
over soon. So
Yeah, it's all
Go on,
gonna
you
be
go.
over.
Go on,
You
you
don't
know.
have to
Yeah,
sound so
it was
defeatist
your
then.
list.
you get to
Sean. It
choose
was your
one,
list.
Sean.
You
We
pick
get to
your
choose
favourite.
one,
I don't know, man. If you want my honest opinion, I can't remember. That's what happens when you rattle through 5 ideas. I liked all the ideas, obviously, but there's something awesome about Ash Wednesday. I love it. I know it's dumb, right? And I know it sounds completely stupid, but it's exactly the sort of thing that you would see on, it might be made by a lesser director. Instead of summarizing it, I will try and imagine maybe an extra detail or two. So, okay.
Don't you understand, Ash? The only reason you survived Pompeii is because you are my daughter.
Yes.
So we need an actress or an actor rather for Wednesday, and we need a director to direct this wreck.
Zack Snyder, and it's going to be in 4:3. So
4-3, and it will
do you
be
need?
Hugo
It's going to
Weaving
be
will play
69
Vesuvius.
put vertically. So it's like a phone. It's like you
so
can
it's
watch
like
it on
a-
your phone.
it's
Right.
also so it's as tall as a volcano.
Yes. Yeah, because the
so
only way, he
that's
was out scouting, like the only way he could put a volcano on screen, like the only way he knew how was to just go vertical. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
amazing.
It's the way forward. Yeah, I think Hugo Weaving for Vesuvius.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
And who are we going to go for Wednesday?
It would be Sean's favourite Greek actress, wouldn't it? Old,
From Statlet's Flats.
yeah.
She gets a lot of mention in this show.
She does,
Do you know
doesn't
what
she?
I
I
mean?
know,
Like,
it's
we
like-
should probably get her on as a guest. I
It's a bit
reckon.
of overkill if you ask me. No, I like her, but you need somebody you need somebody a little bad.
Oh, she's not coming on now, is she? So that's it.
No, she's too
Ruined it.
good. She's too good. You don't want to.
Okay,
you don't
okay.
want her. She wouldn't blow.
Who's the
blow her
woman
load
that
on this.
plays Enola Holmes in the new?
Yeah.
thing? She
All
might be
right,
Bobby
Millie
Brown.
Bobby Brown. Bring in the crowd from.
Oh, is it Millie Bobby Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, she also gets a lot of mention on this podcast.
She
Maybe
gets
we
a
should
lot of
bring her
mention
in
on
as
this
well.
as well.
Yeah. Okay. She'd be cracking in this as Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, she would.
And it's her first attempt at like doing a slightly Roman accent, and people are like, I thought she did a good job. Maybe she should have gone for a British accent, but a bit of a weird Italian-y accent. Yeah. Okay, that's. I'm comfortable with that. Now we need a director. Now we need like a latter day Paul W.S. Anderson, right? Because he did Pompeii, he did Event Horizon, he did Resident Evil.
Oh, what about Justin Lin? Fast and Furious films?
Yeah, definitely. Because he also did the third Star Trek, and I didn't think a Star Trek film, Star Trek Beyond, could be worse than Into Darkness, and it was. So he's perfect for this. This is his next logical step after like the next Fast and Furious or whatever. That's fucking good. I'm proud of that, by the way. So I'm glad I picked Ash Wednesday. So yeah, that's Ash Wednesday, the comic book next big comic book movie by Disney. probably.
So my turn then. My 5, which I've been thinking about for quite a while now. Really spent a lot of time coming up with these ones.
Okay.
And the first one I'm going to go with is Solstice.
Could it be like the sequel to or the prequel to Midsummer? I know we've mentioned like Morris dancing in Midsummer earlier as well, but
See, now I genuinely haven't had the courage to watch it yet. I bought like the director's cut because I was like, because that's my jam. That's who
If you're going to do it, you got to do it, yeah?
But I don't have the courage to watch it yet because sometimes I don't always want to watch a 3.5 hour breakdown of someone having a breakdown. Sometimes that would be great entertainment, but I'm not ready to watch it yet. So
I'll just read the plot on Wikipedia.
Well, that's heresy, and I will hear no more of that kind of talk around here, young man. No plots are not to be read. But I don't know. I'm trying to think. Okay, maybe it's film that straddles the line between it's a sequel to The Wicker Man and a prequel to Midsummer, and it connects the two films.
What if it's a 2-parter, right? Mm-hmm. One is the day that vampires can hunt the most because it's the shortest day of the year, and then the opposite side is the hunters on the longest day of the year hunt the vampires the most, and it's about the sort of those two ends of the spectrum.
Well, then,
and is it filmed in the style of like the Night Watch and stuff like that?
Yeah. Timur
and they'd both be called Solstice, and you don't know which one you're watching until you get in there, and like they're just like all the DVD covers are the same, all the menus are the same. It's only when you start playing it do you realise, and then it become like a hunt, no pun intended, of like people to get actual Solstice Volume 1 and Solstice Volume 2, but no one knows what it is.
Yep, that's genuinely a good idea. And you have like the covers are like, eventually you have a double feature, 4-hour double feature, and what you do is when you watch that you find out that actually they take place over, like, essentially the plots sort of overlap in ways that you had no idea they overlapped until you watch them, like either back to back or maybe even at the same time.
And when they get
concurrently,
released,
you have to watch them at exactly the same time to realise that the time codes on all of them are almost exactly flipped to what happens. And if you play Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, it matches up perfectly to both.
They get released in the same year on the solstices. There you go.
That makes sense. Love it.
Next,
we're done. Okay, so the next one is Shrove Tuesday. We had Ash Wednesday. Shrove Tuesday.
What is a Shrove?
That's a good question, isn't it? What is a Shrove?
All right, so it's about a bunch of... So it's the next film by Seth Rogen, and it's about a bunch of people that don't know what a Shrove is. So they decide to invent a Shrove, and in their small town they invent this Shrove, and it's a small creature similar to a vole. And then it becomes more famous. Maybe they're like, I don't know, they're aspiring. He's like a radio DJ or something, and it becomes more famous than them. And then everybody in town, it comes out once a year, and it's the first time it's come into this part of the world. And everybody in town is like pinning all their hopes for like everything's been going wrong in the town. Everybody's having a bad time. It feeds into this COVID feeling. Everybody's struggling, and all they want is for this Shrove to turn up, like a groundhog, to tell them that everything's going to be okay.
It feels really Groundhog Day, doesn't it?
But it's not a real groundhog.
You're not far off when I googled. So, Shrove comes from shrive, which means to present oneself to a priest for confession, penance, or absolution, or to assign penance and absolution.
So this big party when they're there, expecting the Shrove to turn up, is actually like a big sort of village party for them all. To sort of, they all meet each other, they chat to each other. Maybe it's
like Stone Soup, isn't it? It's like the story of Stone Soup.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, yes, I do. I do know what that is. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. But instead of instilling the Stone Soup with each of their produce, they instill this town with each of their support and knowledge. And maybe what they found out is that they actually haven't been coming out and seeing each other regularly. They haven't been supporting each other. They've just been looking out the curtains, and they haven't been bothering. They've been judging people. Hey, did you hear what happened to this person? Without ever going and asking them what happened and asking them if they're okay. So in the end, the Shrove never comes out, but the metaphorical Shrove comes out. Listen, it's viable.
It's pretty good.
This is why we create Slash Dupe, because these
Anything's
terrible
viable.
ideas are viable and they get made.
Let's not forget that they made The Sniffer into a TV series, so we'll go from there.
So I've got Ascension Day, but it could be Ascension. That feels like a really good day, a really good one, doesn't it?
That's actually one of mine. Which is great. So,
well, we've got to pitch 2 ideas for it then.
So I guess my original, because the Ascension that I've got here is like when Mary's body was taken up into heaven from when she left her earthly shackles, and so that's something. But I guess that's what the thing of it. But Ascension for me could be like this sort of like Billions style TV series. Oh, actually, wait. What was the one with Russell Crowe called recently? Is that called Ascension, or is that called something else?
Oh, maybe. I mean, I think in my mind, Ascension Day is weirdly. I think it comes from some. I mean, more recently, I know it from a science fiction of some kind. Like Ascension Day was the day they all left the Earth and went somewhere else. So I get proper sci-fi vibes from Ascension Day. So.
Yeah, it feels quite sci-fi, doesn't it?
But how would you? What sort of original story would you tell with the title Ascension Day?
Is it a case of like, I don't want to go too near my other one that we had recently, but like alien DNA is starting to, it's been planted in there, like the code has been planted. Maybe scientists make a breakthrough. Maybe with the mRNA vaccine, it unlocks the alien DNA that's been in our, I mean, this would be great for the conspiracy theories. It unlocks the alien DNA that's already been hidden in our genetic code, and certain people start to ascend into alien forms, and then aliens come along to take them away.
Well, how about, so as they're ascending, there's people are like, are they angels? Are they aliens? Are they mutations?
Yeah.
What's happening? And these people are ascending to like a sort of better form of human, but there'll always be people that want to stamp that out. So actually, as these people are ascending to what appears to be objectively a fairly good thing for the human race, actually the end of the film is like a bunch of radicals led by an angry tyrant president of some kind. Let's just imagine one. There's such a thing, it could exist, and they rise up and exterminate them and extinguish them, and that's the end of the film. Because sometimes we can't have
jealousy.
nice things.
Can't have nice things, yeah. Well done. That's that one then. Excellent. The next one is Boxing Day.
Okay. There's so many.
I mean, yeah.
There's so many ways to go at this, isn't there? Boxing Day. Now I'm sure there's some sort of rom-com. There's always a rom-com with the names of every. There's a New Year's Day and a Valentine's Day and a Christmas Day and all that. I don't want to go anywhere near that if possible. Boxing Day.
Oh, it's like like Meet the Fockers style had like two huge like warring families, right? And it's like the couple get their entire family at like a massive manor house, and they don't like each other, and it's supposed to be over Christmas to bring the families together so they can all hang out, but it just ends up being that probably the two fathers in the family box each other on Boxing Day. Like they spend their entire time like.
So there's going to be like 10 of these films. For some reason, it keeps making money.
Yeah.
Like Grown Ups and Meet the Parents and then
what was the one with Mark
sort of
Wahlberg? Wasn't it like?
Yeah, Daddy's Home.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Daddy's
so it's
Home.
One
Yeah.
of these
So
things
it's like that.
Just,
So actually,
at the end of each one is a boxing match, isn't there?
Yeah,
cameos
and they spend their entire
boxers
but actually what they do, like they spend their entire time like building a boxing ring outside, and it's actually the families do actually come together to like make the ring,
Naturally.
all the things
And when
like
they
that.
box
So even
each
though
other,
the fathers,
they really don't want to actually hurt each other. They've actually come to like each other. Basically, but then one of them slips on some bird poo or whatever from a previous scene.
No, they definitely
they
both they knock each other out, don't they?
Yeah.
That's what happens. They both throw one punch at each other, knock each other out, and then and then it's a draw anyway.
Then you've got Boxing Day 2, and it's like, it's the kids now.
Boxing Day
have a
round
feud.
2. Come on,
Sean.
Sean.
Oh my God, of course.
Come on.
That's it, yeah. Oh, that's too good, isn't it?
That's great. What's the poster?
It's the kids of them, isn't it? It's
No. It's the two fathers going face to face, and then the two like wives or whatever are holding up a round 2 and a round 6. So it's 26th of. So it's like the 26th of December.
for Boxing Day.
For Boxing Day.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Love it. Great. Right. Let's move on because we can't top that. My final one, and I've saved it to last, is Trinity.
Yes.
Trinity.
The Trinity.
Help.
Crack the IRSD base. Yeah. I always thought you were a man. That has to happen. So this is I'm gonna have to rule on this and say it's a Matrix prequel, obviously.
Okay.
And there was a dash of Trinity in the Animatrix. We saw a dash of Trinity in that. I saw a pop up here and there.
I really liked the Animatrix.
Yeah, that was cool, wasn't it?
I really
right
liked
at the
them.
sort of just the beginning of mixed media sort of stuff like that.
Yeah, especially what was the game? What was the game that went with
Enter
the
the
Animatrix?
Matrix. And then you
Enter
had
the
Path
Matrix.
of Neo later on.
Yeah, man. Listen, they were crap, but I loved them, and I still love them.
I was into
Yeah.
it. I was into
Yeah,
it.
I love them.
I was
Bullet
into that
time.
whole world. Yeah, totally.
The old sweep of the feet and punch him in the stomach and
That
they go
was
flying.
a classic move.
Yeah.
Classico.
Do the old wall run with a flip. Oh man,
Yeah.
who doesn't love a wall run with a flip? I was all over Into the Matrix. I absolutely adored it.
I used to, just as a horrible tangent, in the swimming pool in Aylesbury, it had a circular lazy river. And so I used to turn on my side and run with my feet against the wall as the lazy river pushed me along like I was in the Matrix, and then flip at the end. Oh man!
Listen, there wasn't a single person like around between our ages that weren't influenced by the Matrix in a major way, right? Even if they don't realize it. A Trinity prequel, I don't even know.
It would do well, wouldn't it?
It would do well, absolutely. First of all, I'm not sure who would play a young Carrie-Anne Moss. I genuinely don't know. I'm sure we'll get to it, but
Probably Heidi Moneymaker, wouldn't it? She does all the stunt work for those guys anyway.
yeah, well, she'd do the stunt work. But like with respect to stunt women turned actors, you would need a Carrie-Anne Moss level actor for this, right?
It would probably be. It would either be Gina Carano, the woman who played Cara June.
Oh yeah, I know Gina Carano, but again, I'm not feeling like they do represent a similar androgynous quality that Trinity held, which by the way is quite interesting to watch the Wachowskis' career, both personal and professional, and to see how non-gendered the Matrix is, by the way, and how sort of like completely and utterly sort of non-gender specific, and like it's just really fascinating to watch a film that early on in cinema that was so open without ever having to sort of be the point of the film. So this is what I would do with the Trinity prequel. This is what I would do with the Matrix sequel as well. So I'm technically throwing my pitch in here, but you make it absolutely non-gender specific every single role. It's irrelevant in the script whether anyone's a man or a woman or identifies as anything else, and then you cast it according to whoever you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's it doesn't matter who turns up. You don't have to pick the roles.
What happens in Trinity?
You would have to have her cracking the IRSD base. I don't even know if the IRSD base is a thing, but you would have to have that thing.
As in the IRS.
Well, I don't know what it. Let's give it a quick Google. I don't know. That's just I remember every line from the Matrix. So that's what he says when she.
That's fun to your vernacular.
They're in
isn't
the
it?
nightclub, and the Rob Zombie tune in the background after we followed the White Rabbit, and she says she's Trinity, and he says the Trinity, the one that cracked the IRSD base. Now it might not be IRSD; it might be something that sounds like that.
What's got stuck in your head?
Yeah,
The IRSD base.
IRSD base. Yeah, exactly. Internal Revenue Services database. So it's fascinating that there is an IRSD base in the Matrix. So their Internal Revenue Service would be a level of control within a level of control, wouldn't it? So there's something more
it's
really
what the
fascinating
agents
about that.
is how the agents control the people, isn't it? It's how the machines control the
100%,
people.
right? So it's like you track into, so you can actually even roll backwards to like this sort of 90s tech era Matrix, 90s tech era world, America, and then you play with surveillance and tracking and all the sorts of things that are happening now, but via a very sort of flip phone 90s sort of vibe. And you have Trinity, the big hack, the big set piece at the end is the IRSD base. And that's because that's the thing that, you know, Neo knows her for. You know, he knows her from this one big hack. So it must have been significant enough in the hacker circles. And maybe you learn more about hacker circles. I mean, what's fascinating about now is we now know more about the hacker circles. We know more about how these things work. Neo was almost like a lone hacker. We never saw a network. We never saw, although theoretically that's what they are in the Matrix in the real world, right? They're the crew, the ship, are all hackers of a kind. But you don't see
We've set
this
him off. We've set him off now.
This is, I love the Matrix.
We've set him off.
This in Matrix world of hackers, right? So they're free. They know it's not real, but they have to stay there to be on the inside. So they choose not to be free. Right, like stuff like that. Like that would be cool, wouldn't it? This group of hackers that work with Trinity that have chosen the difficult life to not be free, and she maybe brings them like pictures and emblems and things from the real world and effigies, and then you really have an interesting discussions about, you know, reality versus simulation and all sorts of other things. So that's genuinely good. Let's cut that out and let me genuinely pitch a Matrix prequel at some point. So yeah, okay.
Well, that's my 5, and it's a clear cut for me, to be honest. Solstice, purely because I loved the Night Watch books, and like the films were, they didn't quite do everything that I wanted them to do after reading the books, and I feel like we could do something here, and I love the idea of the time code playing against each other, and that feels like the level of geekery that I would be happy making a film about.
See, I quite Night Watch was the first film that I saw that had like reactive subtitles when people were speaking in other languages. Like they would be part of, like, they would disappear as like a truck went by or whatever. Yeah. I think, you know, they were done again by Tony Scott in Man of Fire.
Yeah. So they've been used a few times, but yeah, you're right. Night Watch is the first time I watched a film where the subtitles seem sort of baked in and part of the story.
Yeah.
I wonder whether I didn't like the films because they didn't finish.
Yeah, they did Night Watch and Day Watch, and Day Watch I think suffered from having like a smaller budget, I think, which you can always tell is like the decline of a series, and they didn't finish it. And I never read the books, and I can see how the films can be underwhelming, but I definitely loved that sort of, because I think he's a Ukrainian or Russian director, and he really has that. He has like a sort of
brutalist eye, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a really sort of different vibe and a different approach to directing, and I think
it felt really,
the energy was
really
odd,
great for a zombie. Yeah, it was like a a council estate Blade.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, Welfare Blade. Yeah, it totally was, wasn't it?
But like, I loved it for that.
Yeah, but maybe we need to. Maybe this is in the same universe. Maybe this is like it carries on the story for you, Dan. You know?
Yay!
All right, taking on my 5, which is now 4 because we've already had Ascension in from Dan.
Soz rhyme.
Hashtag stolen. So when this theme came across my desk, I was visiting our nan, who is a deeply religious lady, and I just wondered, and then I was looking through the days, and I didn't want to have like, you know how we took Shrove Tuesday, but we haven't got like Pancake Day, wearing a cheese hat day.
But yes, we didn't have any of the obscure ones, did we?
Yeah, we wanted ones that sort of sounded like titles. So I was like, Nan, give me the cool ones. Give me the cool sounding religious holidays, right? You know? Obviously, Ash Wednesday was one of them. So I've got a good one here. Maybe it's tacks on to some of the other themes we're talking about. Our Lady's Feast.
Ooh.
Now, is it... I know it's just me, but my brain went porno. So
no.
Queen of the Damned is
No,
where my brain went.
yeah, like so not porno, but like what was that film? It wasn't Excalibur, but I'm getting it confused with that. It was like one of these films that like I think John.
Do you just
Boorman
mean
directed
Arthur?
it? No, it was one of those like classic sort of swords and sandals films, but it was like a bit filthy and it was a bit raunchy and it was a little bit sort of, it wasn't funny, but it was like one of those films that like, how did they get it by the censors? But like, I'm sort of getting something like that, like a little bit of like a sort of latter day Game of Thrones, like a sort of, not quite Game of Thrones, but like one of those films before they, rewrote the laws for how to tighten up cinema and stuff like that.
Or kind of like maybe like a Heathers type of American school zombie thing. So not Heathers, but like Heathers, but with zombies. I don't know if you've seen Heathers.
Yeah, no, it's a great film.
But like a American high school, but maybe their school is called
Our Lady's Feast.
What's the title? Our Lady's Feast. Do you know what I mean? Like
I'll
a
cut
private
the bit out where
school.
you say, what's the title?
What's the title? Because I have no idea. No, maybe it's, or maybe it could be a British.
I'll also cut the bit out where I say it should be a porno, so that we don't lose all of our religious guests.
Yeah, especially since this is religious. So maybe it's a British high school.
Yeah,
like a Heathers,
St. Trinian's crossed with Walking Dead or something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's wicked.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's it. Love it.
So
we had done next to you.
We had Ascension. That was the other one. So what links with the Ascension is the Assumption. So Assumption is your title.
Like that.
Assumption. That's
like
interesting.
that.
I didn't even know that was a religious holiday.
You have the two of them, the Ascension and the Assumption.
Likes to tell me.
Yeah.
Assumption. God, that's so nebulous, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Assumption, I've got a sort
Are we
of
making an assumption, or are we,
taking of power is what I've got.
Yeah, that's the one. It's the taking of power, isn't it? So maybe it's a mixture of the two. Maybe it's like a political thing, but like a mafia, but non-mafia. What's the Netflix series with that's about that, like with two trying to get power? What's it called?
The one with Jason Bateman, you mean?
Yeah.
Ozark.
Oh, maybe you're thinking of something else. But an Ozark type show is sort of what you're talking about, I think, as well. This sort of...
It's kind of a bit more glam than that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's somewhere between like it's a serious but not serious thing where there's these like two conglomerates that are trying to vie for more money, and we're making assumptions about both of them, but it's also the assumption of power between them, and it's like a modern day Game of Thrones, but played out in like a boardroom.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I can see
like
that. I remember a film that like I can't tell if I love it or hate it, but it's called Duplicity, and it's like a sort of corporate espionage type film.
Yeah.
With Paul Giamatti,
Clive Owen,
and
Clive
Julia
Owen,
Roberts.
and
I'm gonna rewatch that. That was like, I even like The Tourist. I like with these films that people don't like if they've got like, because I can tell the vibe that they're trying to put off, even if they maybe never pull it off. Right? Duplicity had a bit of a sexy Ocean's 11 type vibe to it, didn't it? Okay, I can see that, but that's Assumption is that's been by far the toughest one, I think, if I may say. I think you had a great idea, Dan, but like, if anyone's listening, and I'm mainly let's be honest, I'm mainly talking to Taj, but if anyone's listening, but if anyone's listening and they want to rival Taj's idea that he'll have for Assumption, then I'm looking forward to seeing it in the comments, because that's a tough one. It really is. The more nebulous, the more difficult, I think.
Okay. I think so. We're going to go one step even more further than that. Solemnity.
Oh gosh.
You didn't get the brief to make these easy or fun.
They're all words with they're all words with gravitas, aren't they?
They are.
From
Solemnity.
The state or quality of being serious and dignified.
Well, maybe it's a an old school, so like a medieval telling of a tale of a young child being taken to be coronated, and the testing of this young child on the way, as he visits, or they visit, various villages, like judging whether someone's a witch, or like the test, like making sure he's as wise as David, whether he has the solemnity to be a king.
Yeah, that's good. And we get to see him form, and like the advisors secretly thinking, well, if this person doesn't pass the tests, then we're going to have to figure a way to get rid of him in some way, and and a family.
And then also them trying to shape the king to advance their own means.
Yeah, I love that.
So we see like someone advising that they should drown the witch because that they've got an agenda or whatever.
All right, it's an old black and white Tarkovsky film. Then that's it. It's an old Russian sort of Tarkovsky version of that. That's
to me, it's sort of maybe it's the soul part of it, but like I sort of saw it being like a sci-fi sort of like film.
Well, Solemnity is a good name for a spaceship, so that as well. Maybe we fuse the two, and it's about the emperor of like a sort of Dune style world. The emperor is being crowned, and they have to go to all the different worlds that they own and sort of
and make judgments as they go. Yeah. I like that. And then you've got then you can have all the different sort of tribes trying to, like, their leaders and their ambassadors trying to influence the king or the emperor as they go.
Yeah. Cool.
And maybe an assassination attempt at some point or whatever.
Yeah, of course. Got to have one of those for the trailer.
Got to have one. Yeah.
Right, here's I got two a little bit bonkers ones, right? Mm-hmm. I wonder what you.
I feel like you've given us 5 already. These are incredibly tough ones. They feel like each of them has the energy, takes the energy of 2.
I mean, it's good that though. It's good that means both your pitches are worth 2 films in every single one of them. Okay, this one, Shout of Dolores, which is.
Are you kidding?
Shout out to your to grandma.
To my nan.
To your nan.
Shout out to my nan.
But Shout of Dolores is one of them.
Wow.
I'll tell you what this actually is afterwards because it's pretty cool. Could almost be a film in itself.
Okay, this is a sci-fi, and it's an ancient artifact, and it's set in a world that is definitely like Dune, in that it's like a lot of traveling nomadic tribes that are trying to search for this artifact, the Shout of Dolores, which they believe will bring their tribe something. I guess it's like it's an energy creator, or it drives off like the worms, for example. Maybe it is set in the Dune world. It feels like a Dune-y kind of thing, and actually when they find it, it's a text, it's a phrase that whoever says it properly, maybe they're all disappointed that they found this text, and someone reads it properly and unlocks their mind, because like that kind of level of
that's cool.
Sci-fi.
Yeah, that's definitely like adapted from a Brandon Sanderson's type fantasy book or something, right?
Yeah,
about
exactly,
this. Yeah, I love that. I also sort of love, like, because I've been watching a bit of Motherland, Fort Salem. It's interesting. They do an interesting thing with voices in that. I'd really recommend that, Dan, if you haven't seen it. Like, it's a cool show. I'm watching it with Mariko. It's not spectacular, but it's got it's got some really interesting ideas in it. And also, we need a cinematic version of the Fuss Rodar from Skyrim. No one is only in Skyrim.
Well, they are making a Skyrim.
What's that?
TV series, aren't they? They are making a Skyrim TV series.
Are they? Who's in charge of that? Is it Netflix taking that one, or is it someone else?
I think it might be Amazon.
Because it's fascinating to use the voice and to use these texts to channel a type of magic. So yeah, it's awesome.
Oh no, sorry. Netflix is rumored to be developing the Elder Scrolls into a film. So you know that when that first Fuss Rodar happens, it's going to be epic. It has to be epic.
Yeah, I like that.
So to actually tell you what the Shout of Dolores is, because I found this quite interesting. It was a priest in Mexico who rang his church bells and gave a fiery speech demanding freedom from Spain, and ended it with "Viva Mexico," and that was the sort of the beginning of their war of independence, and so now every year the Mexican president rings that bell and shouts "Viva Mexico."
Ah, cool.
So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool. I sort of see it as
Pretty
like
cool holiday.
like an Alfred Molina, like playing this sort of priest, who would then give this amazing, because Alfred Molina's got that gravitas to give this amazing speech at the end.
Where is he from? He's from all nations, Alfred Molina, isn't he? he's non-specific to any particular nation. I love it.
All right,
I think you've got one more for me, haven't you?
I got the last.
You've got one more for us.
One, and this is.
I feel like it's just for Dan though, because he's kicking out these.
This is Chris Mahana Wanzakan.
Yeah.
Chris Mahana
Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa. That's what it is. Chris Mahana Kwanzaa.
So it's Kwanzaa, basically.
It's Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Ramadan, all squashed into one word.
Did you make that
thanks
up?
Thanks to Urban Dictionary.
Okay. When's it celebrated?
Thanks, Urban Dictionary.
The Urban Dictionary must have the date that the...
A combination of the main holiday terms for Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Ramadan.
But it's
to be used in this age of correctness, where people may be offended by wishing one person in a seasonal greeting, but leaving another person out, thereby offending their race or creed.
Right. Thank you, Urban Dictionary. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a wedding that's happening during this period, and it just so happens that through some circumstance, the people getting married, their parents are of each of two different religions, and their grandparents are of two different religions, bringing 8 different religions, I think. Yep. No, in fact, that would be more, wouldn't it be? 10, 12 different religions into the mix, and they all have to somehow make their wedding appropriate for all of their relatives without offending any of the others. And it's a hilarious comedy of...
Yeah.
And it's wonderfully ethnically diverse.
It's the next My Big Fat Greek Wedding or whatever. It's the next low micro-budget film that takes the world by storm. Yeah, I love it. And at the end, they realise that they shouldn't please everybody. Just go off and get married on your own. Doesn't matter.
And also, they're all saying the same thing anyway, which is that, everyone should love each other and have a great time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I like it. There you go.
All right.
That was good.
I would say... I'd say my favourite is probably the sprawling galaxy-based epic of a young king, to-be king, if he can step up to be the man that they need him to be, while these political webs are weaved around him by his advisors.
I'm enjoying watching Ryan flounder. So now he knows what it's like to try and round something up.
Hey, that for a first go. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I just wanted the audience to know that what I witnessed, what I saw with my eyes, was not the same as what I heard through my ears. There was the look of being lost and
the swan. It's the swan, isn't it?
The underwater. But a calmness you will hear on the podcast, and yeah. But thanks for that, Ryan. Yeah. Great. So there was 15 pitches overall, if you include Mayday as well. 15 very quick pitches, quick synopses. The Trinity one went on for quite a while. But if you want to see Sean's Trinity prequel, then you just have to tap on Warner Brothers' window. Just let them know that Sean's out here with his treatment ready. So names for things, they're odd, man. So here at Slash Dupe, we like to, give them an extra layer, and sort of pull them out of what we're used to hearing them as. And we had some amazing pitches over Solstice, Boxing Day. That Boxing Day was one of my favourites. Shrove Tuesday, PANCAKE. We had a couple of stripper stories in there. Everything that you like. So yes, but we're looking for your ideas at home. If you think of your own holidays, if a words pass you by and you think, God damn, that would make a good film, then let us know. What can they do, Ryan?
And let us know if there are any in another language that translate. Like I think that's one thing we didn't do. But if there's like a one-word holiday in that's celebrated in another part of the world in a different language, what's that rough English? Like I'm sure it's not called the Shout of Dolores, is it? In in Mexico. But come and find us at Slash Dupe, and that is everywhere. We have conquered Google's SEO. So you just got to Google Slash Dupe and we are everything that comes up. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter as well. Let us know what those one-word holidays are.
Yeah, perfect.
And we might even use any ideas that you come up with. Might make it as a wild card. Or if one of these were brilliant, vote them in.
Yeah.
We might put it as a wild card because we've come to the end of Heat 3 this time, haven't we? We've wrapped up our last 6, so at some point soon we'll be having to get an adjudicator in to work out. I can't wait for our elevator pitches. We've had an elevator and we've had by the free snacks.
So we're about to come up to the end of our third heat. We've had 2 adjudicator specials so far, where the 6 previous ideas get boiled down to 1. And the first one we went hard with Ben Scrivenin, filmmaker, video game creator, editor, BAFTA editor. He came in and he wanted us to pitch like we were in an elevator, giving an elevator pitch. And then we pitched our final ideas, in his office, in the office of a hotshot producer, probably with the accent that Ryan had earlier on. Hey, Toots, or whatever.
Tell me about your
films.
It feels less special now. You both can do it.
We couldn't do it as good as you. And then the second heat we had the Pearsons, James and Rosie Pearson of Pearson
Cornered
Casting.
by the Canapes.
Cornered by the Canapes as a sort of post
That was
show.
wicked.
That was great, wasn't it? A sort of a little bit more dipping into Dan's world, maybe a sort of post show pitch in the corner of a busy room, a networking type event. I even have chills thinking about the show that we did based on that. I get flashbacks.
It was gross.
It was.
The Pearsons have just opened up a branch in New York as well, so they're taking over Broadway. So it's quite extraordinary what they're doing. So
amazing.
maybe we'll get to go over to New York and corner them there.
Yeah, literally corner them by the canapes. Yeah, and you can listen. You can listen to that episode. You can find the Pearsons at Pearson Casting, and you can listen to that episode on Spotify, Apple, wherever. That's our second adjudicator heat, and we've reached the end of this quarter. So yeah, the end of this quarter will lead directly to what's coming up, which will be our next adjudicator episode, and we are really excited for you at home to listen to it. It's going to be a nice surprise that hopefully will live up to the previous 2 bars set so high. So yeah, so listen along. We will eventually, at the end of the season, we'll be making a trailer out of the one single winning idea. One idea will rise above the rest from this entire season that we're now halfway through, over halfway through. One will rise out and we'll make it into a trailer. I don't know how and I don't know when, but it's an exciting challenge that we're looking forward to, and we really get to. I mean, it's been a little while since we've made something like that, and we get to pool our resources and really sort of just have fun. But what makes it extra special is knowing that the final vote comes from you listening at home. So everybody listening gets a chance to, when it comes to the final, help us pick the film that we will be making into a trailer. And we can't think of anything more frightening.
You haven't got a script for this, have you?
We can't think of. I'm just genuinely I have written some of it down, but the fear and reality of making a trailer out of whatever the audience picks has taken all my ability to form words away. Right. So thanks, Dan. Thanks, Ryan. It's been
Thank you.
a fun bonus episode on the May Day bank holiday. I don't really know how to wrap it up.
We look forward to.
We'll see you next time. Like,
Yeah,
that's it.
that's it. Done.
In fact, leave
That's
that in.
how much we care about you at home. Is just that we just there you go. What more do you want? Go and listen to another episode. That episode that you haven't listened to yet, the one you're halfway through and you gave up on, just go back and listen to the rest of it. That's what you can do.
My pitch is probably amazing in that, and it always
and
comes
always
at the
last.
end. So
So
yeah.
I've got something to add just before we go. I really genuinely want to thank everybody listening to this, because we love coming together and chatting. We do it anyway. We love films. We didn't know that anybody would also appreciate those two things combined. So the fact that people like the format of Slash Dupe, the fact that they come back and listen to us, the fact that our guests seem to enjoy themselves and seem to value the time that they spend here, it means the world to us. I've been told by a few people that this isn't the kind of podcast that as soon as it comes out, our numbers spike. We find that people are setting aside the time to go back and listen to previous episodes, and I've had a few people tell me I'm going to sit down and have a glass of wine, and literally I've had a few people tell me they're going to sit down with a glass of wine and listen to Slash Dupe, which is a real genuine honour. It's it's like it's one person's bath time podcast, which I can't imagine this person wiggling around in the bath naked whilst listening to us bang on about film pitches, but it is. So I just deeply want to thank everybody listening, and every guest that's been on our podcast, and especially to the two of you as well for making this such an enjoyable experience that we will do until one of us dies, and then we'll unceremoniously replace that person with somebody else. It's probably going to be you, Ryan, isn't it, that goes first, judging by your lifestyle. But then we'll get someone else in, and then we'll probably ride out until let's be honest, that person will die. Dan and I are going to last a long time, and then we'll stop making Slash Dupe. So up until that point, we're gonna keep going.
It's all those virgins you guys sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh,
so thanks everyone.
Recorded in the Capo Studios, 2021. What's up, danger?